People are way too focused on the specs of VR headsets. Like, oh, look at this Pimax headset that can do 4K per eye. Oh, the Steam frame doesn't have a much higher resolution than the Quest 3. The panels aren't OLED. Like, whatever, man. You know what the Steam frame will be able to do? Actually get you into your games without all the hassle required to play on a Quest. When you are playing games off a monitor or TV, the specs of the display really do give you an almost complete picture of what the experience will be like. But it's just different with a VR headset. The only way a flat screen touches you is through light beams directly emitted from the panel hitting your eyes. There is so much more to consider when making a VR headset comfortable than there is when making a display look nice. And the Quest platform opts to cut a lot of corners when it comes to making a solid headset. Let's look at some of the pain points and points of friction when it comes to playing a PC VR game on the Quest. To start, the included head strap is shit. It's shit. It's bad, man. I'm sure there is someone out there who is the perfect head shape for it and like it doesn't bother them, but for everyone else it is inarguable. You have to replace the head strap if you want any quality time with this headset. Not only is this an immediate increase on the Quest 3's $500 price tag, or the like $300 price tag on the Quest 3S, it's also a weight increase that Meta can get away with not including in the specs because you have to replace it with something heavier. That just comes with more weight. They're not telling you that. They don't want to tell you that. You think you're paying $500 for a 515 gram headset, but you end up paying closer to $580 for like a 950 gram headset, assuming you get what most of the community agrees is the best head strap alternative. There are a lot of options. It's heavier than you thought, it's more expensive, and the need for Quest users to replace the head strap reduces the overall standardization of the headset, because there are just so many different options you could replace it with. The Steam frame, at least according to nearly every single person who has tried it and has talked about it on the internet, is the opposite. Comfort seems to be a major consideration from Valve when they designed the thing. We might not know the price yet, and it's going to be a lot more expensive than $500. Shout out that Whoville motherfucker Sam Altman throwing us into a Rampapocalypse. SSDs are too expensive. We love you, Sam Altman. We fucking love you. You're the coolest guy. You're the coolest fucking guy. I got distracted. Oh yeah, it's gonna be more expensive than $500, but you won't need to immediately replace important components of the headset. Unless something really, like, it's not out yet, something could go wrong, you know, but you're not going to need to replace that head strap immediately. That's going to be comfortable. Everybody is saying this. I should also clarify, I don't have a Quest 3 anymore. I just rented it when Help Wanted 2 came out, so I could have something better than this Quest 2 to play on. Look at that. It works. That works for the head strap. Yes, this is a replacement head strap. But when I did have that Quest 3, I used it every day I had it before the return window was up, which was like about a month, like 2-ish months. I rented it from like 2 different places, so I got to use 2 of them. And every time I wanted to show a friend the headset, I had to lend them a hat to put on backwards, so the pressure of the head strap on the back of their head didn't become unbearable. It really is that bad. I tried some 3D printed solutions too. I was that desperate. The horrible Quest Link software is another pain point of using a Quest for PC VR. If you've ever used it or even just heard someone else talk about it, you know how much it sucks. It hogs your CPU, it's super finicky, it adds another step between you and playing your game, and it's unstable as hell. It freezes up pretty often. Also, like, pretty sure it's spyware. I uninstalled it so fast after seeing it in my task manager after I hadn't used VR in days, and yes, I had restarted my computer multiple times since then. It's almost like you shouldn't be trusting Meta with your data or hardware in any fucking way, shape, or form, and you definitely shouldn't be buying glasses from them that have cameras and microphones just strapped to your face at all times. Like, do you know this company's history with user data? Whether or not you buy the Meta spy glasses is the easiest IQ test in the fucking world to pass. And that brings me to my next point, Meta's operating system. When you put on a VR headset, you're taken somewhere new. Don't you want the place you end up in to be nice, comfortable, maybe corporate and lifeless? Does that sound good to you? I mean, look at these menus and icons, man. I guess, like, I can't really shit on it that much. It's totally functional. But something about it has always seemed so off to me. So, like, uninviting. It gives me the same vibe of Microsoft over the years renaming your computer, or like my computer, to this PC in the file manager. It just feels corporate. And when I'm whisked off to a whimsical video game world, the last thing I want to be reminded of is Microsoft Teams, which you can install straight onto the headset, by the way. Let's say you want to install Microsoft Teams. Like, yes, I just bought my new awesome VR headset and I can't wait to boot it up and get into Microsoft Teams. Yes. First things first. You gotta sign in with a Facebook account. You can't do this. This is not optional. This doesn't just like stop you from installing stuff on the headset. Oh, and you can still use it as PC VR. No, you have to sign in with a Facebook account to use the headset in any capacity. I feel like I remember there being a bounty from Mozilla, or like someone at Mozilla, to be like, hey, if you can hack this thing and remove the Facebook login, here's $5,000 or whatever. And do we think, are they like spying on us? When we're in the headset, like, and we've signed in with our Facebook accounts, and it's Meta operating the headset, do we think they're spying on us at all in the headset? They wouldn't do that. Why would they do that? Come on. They're Meta. We love them. Now, to Meta's credit, the Meta Quest Store is not the only way to install software on the headset. You can also sideload it on, which is something they allow, but also something they could shut off. Now, when you buy an app from Meta's store, they get a cut of that no matter what the app is. And when you sideload it, they don't get any sort of cut. Now, they haven't threatened to remove the sideloading functionality, at least to my knowledge. They haven't said they have any plans to do that, but I just don't see it as unrealistic that they could eventually do that, closing down the Meta ecosystem even further. And this just isn't a concern on the Steam frame, because you literally can't sideload. You don't need to sideload. You just download stuff. It's a computer, and it's your computer. Just all that to say, the Quest experience kind of sucks. Like, it's functional. It is functional. Like, that's where the bar is. But it just sucks overall. And on top of the frame fixing a lot of these little mishaps, a lot of these little cut corners along the way, it has so many bonuses. For one, the eye tracking. The Quest Pro has eye tracking, but like who gives a shit about the Quest Pro? None of the mainline Quest headsets have eye tracking in them, and Steam is using this for their super awesome foveated streaming. Yay, Steam! I would clap if I weren't holding the microphone right now. But also, it'll be handy for foveated rendering. And if you don't know what either of those things are, I can explain them, that's fine. Foveated streaming is Steam's solution so that you can play in your VR headset without needing to plug it into your computer with a cord. It just streams it straight to where you're looking, so they can pinpoint exactly where they need to show all of the pixels, exactly where your eyes are, and they can kind of make it not as high quality around where you're not looking, but you're not going to notice. And it sounds like the solution works really well, and I trust that it does. Like with foveated streaming, right, which is having the data streamed exactly where you're looking, foveated rendering takes place in the game. The developers have to add this themselves, but it renders exactly what you're looking at the highest quality, and the stuff around it is rendered at a lower quality. So, that's some pretty cool stuff. Why is that big of a deal? Well, the Steam frame, this is a big deal of a headset. This is coming from Valve, right? This is like a heavy hitter. And something this substantial coming out with eye tracking means it'll be more widely adopted across all VR platforms, all VR games. Just more widespread adoption of it everywhere, which means better performance on streaming and playing the games. It's just good. It's just a good thing to have. Oh, and in like some games like VR Chat, it can like track where you're looking and put it on your avatar. And if you want to do that, like, you know, it's just baked in now. That's pretty cool. There's also the frame verified standard, right? On the Steam Deck, you have your games that are Steam Deck verified. The games that you know you can just boot up and run and they will work great. And frame verified is going to be a similar thing for all the stuff in your Steam library, be it VR or flat screen. And this is a better standard than what Quest has for just publishing on their platform, because the minimum frames per second on the Quest is 72 frames per second. That is the performance metric you need to hit before you can publish your game on the Quest's platform. That does not mean that all games published on the Quest are only running at 72 Hz. But because that's the minimum, you will find games on that platform that are running at only 72 Hz. On the Steam frame, on the other hand, 90 Hz is the standard, or frames per second, whatever. that's a much smoother experience for everybody. Again, when you're in a VR world, when you're in a world different from our own that's controlled by a digital environment, don't you want that to be like as smooth as possible? It helps a lot of people with motion sickness as well, the higher the frame rate. So that's just another win, another like quality standard of the frame that the Quest is simply lacking. You know what else the Quest is simply lacking? The entire fucking Steam library. Okay, that's an exaggeration. Like, there's going to be anti-cheat that makes games not run on Linux, and there's going to be games that just don't perform well on the the chip that it's running. But this is a more powerful processor than you might think. Here's a video of somebody running Cyberpunk on their phone with all this wicked wizard tech that Valve has worked up, and this phone is using the exact same chip that's going to be in the Steam frame. I bet you didn't know that was possible. That's some pretty cool shit. And that does not mean one-to-one Cyberpunk is going to run that well on the frame. The frame is going to have the eye tracking, it's going to need to reserve processing for eye tracking, head tracking, controller tracking, your environment around you. So even your flat screen games aren't going to run as well as they would on a phone running the same chip. But isn't it crazy that this is possible? Plus, you get all of the benefits of Steam. One thing I love about my Steam Deck is that, I can play my games on it. I can play Risk of Rain 2 on it, but I can play with mods. All the mods I want that I play with on my computer, I can just play with it on my deck because it's a computer. You'll be able to do the exact same thing in this VR headset. Is that not super cool? I have no doubt, I don't want to say anything for sure. I don't want to make anyone upset being super sure. I'm just a guy. I'm just talking. I feel like Risk of Rain is going to run perfectly fine in the headset on a flat screen. Games like Battle Block Theater, Alien Hominid, your indies, you're going to have no problem running these on the headset. All through Steam. There's even, if Cyberpunk can run on that phone chip, if it can run on the Steam Deck, I think it can probably run on the frame. Maybe not great. We'll have to see how that goes, but I don't know, man. It is not out of the question that you'll be able to run 3D AAA games on this thing. Not great, not great. I don't want to upset anybody, okay? I don't want to upset anybody by claiming that. I think I'm just covering my bases with that because I'm kind of psychotic about the Steam frame right now. So I'm checking the subreddit just multiple times a day, every day to see what people are saying about it. And some people get very upset that over others' expectations for the device, we'll say. By the way, if you like hearing about the Steam frame, Valve hardware, I like these sorts of conversations. I like starting them. I like having them. So go ahead, subscribe to the channel because I'm going to be doing a couple more of these, just talking about this sort of thing. A little bit of hardware, a little bit of Half-Life Alyx or Half-Life 3, little, just talking about stuff. So yeah, go ahead, subscribe if you're interested in that. Okay, back to your Steam library being compatible for this thing. I love how Steam has expanded into these different form factors because it's, in my opinion, just the best platform there is for games, PC, console, whatever. Steam's just the best one out there for a lot of reasons, in my opinion. It's fine if you disagree. But, things like mod support, things like cloud saves, things like discounts, things like Steam support, it's all very, very cool stuff. The fact that it's all supported on this headset, I can install mods on my computer for Half-Life 2 and then just go pick up my Steam Deck and hit the play button and they're installed and configured and I'm just picking up right where I left it. It's pretty magical. So this could feasibly be somebody's or anybody's first introduction into the Steam ecosystem where they buy VR games, they buy flat screen games, and then if they ever get a more capable device, like any computer that can run Steam or the Steam machine or something, their whole library will be waiting for them with all their saves in the cloud, all of their Steam Workshop mods just ready to go. It's so cool that that's possible. And because they need to support such a wide array of games, the controller layout resembles that of an Xbox controller. The Quest started this standard of 2 buttons on each side. They're menu buttons and stuff, but it just never made sense to me, right? I understand wanting to simplify the button layout for VR because, it's VR. You can't look at your controller. And that makes some sense for people who are brand new to VR, but I feel like the majority of VR users will be and have been existing gamers. Am I wrong about that? And you know what we're used to? We're used to ABXY on one side. I can do this with one hand. We're used to a D-pad on the other side. It just makes way more sense to have this layout that we're already so familiar with. Because when I've played flat screen games ported to Quest, I played a Minecraft port on the Quest, I didn't know where A, B, and X, Y were. I've been playing games with controllers that say A, B, X, Y for my entire life, and I didn't know where they were. So it just makes sense for them to have an understandable button layout, and it'll work so much better for games that are flat screen ports to VR. Like, it can really be a struggle if you want to play a flat screen game in VR. There's already going to be hurdles, like installing mods, getting it all ready, and then you have to somewhat like relearn the game because you're interacting with it through a different medium and your controller buttons are different. This is just going to make the whole experience a lot smoother overall. I'm excited as hell for the Steam Frame, like, clearly. That's all I have to say about it today, but I've got a couple other topics, a couple other things I want to talk about in the coming weeks. So if you're interested, let me know what you thought. Am I crazy? Am I on the money with it? Let me know. And that's gonna be it for me. Bye bye.